Hello Taurus, and welcome to your new moon lunar cycle insight video for the 4-week period beginning with the new moon solar eclipse in Leo on the 11th of August and completing with the new moon in Virgo on the 9th of September. So this lunar cycle is what I am calling the great unwinding. This will be a 4-week period of beginning to integrate, to ground all of the inspirations that we have been gifted with during this potent time of rapid awakening as we move through the eclipses and the Lion's Gate and the retrogrades. And, you know, from the end of the month onward, one by one, the planets are going to start changing direction. And we'll begin to see some rewards for all of the hard work that we've been putting into certain areas of our lives. So this lunar cycle brings many more opportunities. And, you know, it's time to see some tangible benefits and, you know, physical manifestations of the inner work that we've been doing. So we begin this month with this new moon eclipse in your 4th house, and of course Mercury is also retrograde here. So there's a huge focus on this very sensitive part of your birth chart. The 4th house is one of the core foundational houses of the chart. The 4th house is traditionally ruled over by Cancer, the Great Mother, and for me it's the womb space of the birth chart. It's where we go to feel safe, secure, nurtured. It's, you know, that physical and spiritual inner temple that we can withdraw into when we feel the need to retreat from the world. So with all of this energy going on here, Taurus, you may feel more internal, more drawn to be at home, you know, than usual. You may be feeling extra psychically sensitive. With Mercury retrograde here, there can be lots of old memories that are coming up to the surface. There can be clearing of the genetic lineage. You know, we are talking about the womb space and the mother line when we look at this energy. So there can be some deep clearing going on with the belief systems, particularly around Leo themes like love, abundance, romance, joy, self-worth, that we are working to clear. You know, maybe there's some unhelpful patterns that have come down through our ancestral line. So this new moon is a good opportunity to rewire and rewrite those programs. For some of you, there may be a conflict that's been happening between the 10th and 4th houses of your birth chart with the amazing lunar eclipse that we've had in Aquarius in your 10th house and Mars being retrograde there. There may have been, you know, issues that need to be brought into harmony, that need to be brought into balance. You know, perhaps you're giving too much time and energy to one of those spaces of your chart and the other one needs to, the scales need to come back into alignment so that you are feeling peaceful and balanced within, and, you know, your energy is flowing in the right directions. There can be on a more mundane and practical level issues around communication with family members. There can be stuff going on with children or parents that need to be worked out, that need to be talked through. You know, it's an energy of nostalgia. It's an energy of the past, which is amplified by Mercury retrograde. So, you know, perhaps we are revisiting our roots. You know, maybe we're looking through old photo albums or bumping into people from the past, seeing relatives that we haven't seen for many, many years. Perhaps we are thinking about moving house, you know, perhaps there's something going on with physical relocation, perhaps there are issues in the home, you know, perhaps we're having redecorating, building work, perhaps there's clearing or decluttering that's going on in the home space, and all of this can be amplified by this new moon. It can be brought to culmination, brought to a head, and so we can watch for these issues and these themes to be ongoing until we reach the Pisces full moon on the 26th of August. So just be aware of what's going on there for you. Mercury will be turning direct in this section of your birth chart on the 19th of August. So this is a time when all of the inner work, all of the internal clearing, rewiring you've been doing, all of the speaking your truth you might have been doing to those close to you, we can start to see benefits, you know, the hard work that we've been putting in, we can start to see rewards, things can start to move forward much more smoothly. If you are physically relocating or thinking about changing your home, or there's something going on with property, this is a time when that can start to move forward too. And we are blessed as well on this day as Mercury stations direct, which can sometimes be a very, very sticky day because the messenger god is at a standstill. He's changing direction, but he hasn't really picked up speed. So it can actually be, even though it's the end of the retrograde, it can actually be an intensification moment. So luckily on this day that Mercury stations, we also have a trine forming between Jupiter and Neptune, and you might remember this energy from around the solstice period. There was that beautiful grand water trine as Venus and Cancer, Venus and the Sun move through Cancer. And this time, although we haven't got a third planet making a grand trine, we still have this beautiful flowing energy between your 7th and 8th houses. And the 7th house is the house of partnership. It's the house of connection with another, traditionally associated with romance, but can also be business partnerships. And the 11th house, which is the web, the communications, the connections between circles, between groups of friends, and just friendships, and in general, both online and in person. And also the 11th house is to do with big visions, wish fulfillment, individual purpose. So during this period, this time, and you know, throughout the month, because they're going to be in orb throughout most of this lunar cycle, you may find that you receive some good luck, some healing, some opportunity, some abundance through your connections with others. Perhaps, you know, one of your friends or your lover or your business partner offers you a new opportunity. Perhaps you meet a new partner through your friends. You know, perhaps you're offered an opportunity to work with a group of people. Perhaps there is just some healing that's occurring in your relationships that are already established. Either way, this is a beautiful flowing energy, and it's a nice psychically receptive time for us all as well. So on the 23rd of August, the energy really starts to shift as the sun moves into Virgo. So Virgo is the sign that the sun moves through before the equinox point. So for those of us here in the northern hemisphere, obviously heading towards the autumn equinox, the dark time. Those of you in the southern hemisphere heading towards the spring, the awakening after the long dark winter. But wherever you are in the world, the energy of Virgo will initiate a clearing, a decluttering, a purging. You know, we are psychically clearing ourselves out in preparation to begin the next 6-month cycle. And for you, Taurus, you know, this is a fellow earth sign. It's a nice productive energy for you. And as the sun moves into Virgo in your 5th house, it also comes into a grand earth trine with Uranus in your sign, who's now retrograde as well. and Saturn, who is in your 9th house. So this trine illuminates the fire energies of your birth chart, the fire houses of creative inspiration, you know, the 9th house of spiritual learning and teaching, the 5th house, which is ruled over by Leo, you know, the creative self-expression, and the 1st house of self-identity, of initiating the new, of who I am. So perhaps there will be some new ideas that come through for you at this time, Taurus, and the emphasis on your earth element will aid you in really grounding them into reality. So, you know, we're all approaching this time of harvest, this time of reaping the rewards of all of the work that we've been doing, not only throughout the eclipse season, but since the beginning of, well, since the spring equinox, since a lot earlier this year. So this is a time when you can start to ground that. Perhaps you'll be offered an opportunity to share your creative talents. Perhaps there will be a new role offered to you in which you can share your wisdom even more deeply. Perhaps it will just be a shift in the way that you express yourself in the world, because Uranus is calling you to change things up, which is not your natural way of expressing, of being in the world, Taurus. You know, you're a sign that resists change quite frequently. So this energy can help you to make changes in ways that feel safe to you, in ways that, you know, will bring you the material rewards that you do like to receive. So as the sun moves through the 5th house, there can be extra fun, extra joy, extra energy to share. So it's a nice time of year for you. On the 26th of August, we have a Pisces full moon, and this is a really beautiful energy. Pisces is the sign of unconditional love. It's the sign of deep soul and spiritual connection. And for all of us, this will be an opportunity to really wash away anything, any pain or angst that we are still carrying from throughout the eclipse season. So it's a gorgeous energy. And for you, it falls in your 11th house and opposes the sun, who is in your 5th house. So this can really bring up issues of service for you, Taurus. This can really make you think about the ways that you are using your unique gifts to serve the rest of humanity. This can be a time when you can reorientate yourself to serving from the heart, because sometimes, you know, we get caught up in seeing what everybody else is doing, you know, seeing how many accolades or how much other people are accomplishing. And, you know, you who are one of the workhorses of the zodiac can, you know, strive to attain that same level of success and material comfort as others. And, you know, like all of us, we can get out of balance and we can forget the reasons why we share our light in the world. You know, we can forget to align ourselves with service. We can forget that we are just the vessel for the goddess, for the source energy to move through. And this can really realign you with that. You know, you can feel a lot of compassion for humanity at this time, Taurus. So this is a time with this energy occurring in your 11th house that there may be some old dreams, you know, old visions that we have to let go of in order for something new to take the place as well. But the inspiration to move forward is definitely being granted to you at the same time. So it's a simultaneous letting go and reactivation of something new around this time. And, you know, at the end of the month, hooray, Mars finally stations direct, and he's going to be stationing direct in the final degrees of Capricorn, where he was during May time this year. And, you know, he's going to be going over the degrees that he was lingering on at 11 to 16th of May this year. So this can be a clearing up of issues that began around this time, and particularly for you it's ninth house related. So the ninth house is the Sagittarius house. It's the house of our beliefs, our ideals. It's connected with the spiritual traditions and the spiritual lineage that we invest ourselves in, you know, that we believe with all of our heart. The shadow side of this house is religious zealotry, but we don't want to go there. So this can kind of bring culmination to any rewiring of your beliefs and your spiritual ideals that you have been working around during the summer. And Mars is going to start moving direct now on the 27th, and he will move back into Aquarius, which is where he's actually spent most of his retrograde journey, which is your 10th house. So as this energy begins to unwind, you will also see positive effects in your career. You know, Mars has been, we've been having to apply a lot of energy into the area that Mars has been transiting in our birth chart. So for you, Taurus, all of that energy in your career and your purpose and your vocation, perhaps you've had to liberate yourself from some old ways of sharing your talents and gifts with the world, some old jobs, some old work, some old career ties have had to be cut. So as he begins to move forward, pick up speed, goes back into that 10th house, which will be on the 10th of September, actually just after the Virgo New Moon, then you can start to see, again, rewards for the effort that you have put in. So shortly after that, you know, we head into September. On the 6th of September, Saturn also stations direct. Hooray again. So he is also in your 9th house. And, you know, he's been retrograde there for a good few months now. And he will have been asking you to revisit some of your belief systems, some of your fixed attitudes, and particularly some of the spiritual teachings that you are highly invested in, Taurus. I remember when Saturn was in Sagittarius, he went through my 9th house. And for me, it was a complete breakdown of everything that I believed to be true before. It was really like shedding an old identity, because we can get very invested in the spiritual truths that we believe in. So during his retrograde period, Saturn would have been asking you to really look within, to really examine what is true for you on a spiritual level, but also on a personal level. Sagittarius is always searching for the truth. What is the truth? What is the deeper meaning? Why are we here? Sagittarian questions. So all of this internal processing will now come to a halt, and you can now start to perhaps reintegrate those teachings in ways that are more helpful, or perhaps you'll learn something new. Perhaps you're actually starting, you know, since Saturn entered your 9th house in on the winter solstice last year, the 21st of December, perhaps you have started a new type of studying, and now you'll begin to see some of the results for the work that you've been putting into that. So it can manifest in many different ways, and like I say, in an Earth trine to those other planets. So it's likely that whatever endeavours you've been taking on, internally and externally, you will benefit from in the long term. So on the 9th of September, this lunar cycle will reach its completion with a Virgo new moon, which will be again in your 5th house. So this is the house that I was talking about, creative expression, heart-centered service. And again, it's opposite to Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, in that 11th house. So this is a great time for you to set intentions in how you wish to serve, how you wish to contribute to the evolution of the whole, how you wish to use your creative gifts and talents in service to humanity. You know, how can I use my unique individual gifts to create a better world for everybody else. You know, where is my devotion? What am I devoted to creating, to birthing into this world? You know, what is my legacy that I'm going to leave behind? Questions for you to ask. And of course, you know, we might go back into that thing of looking at sacrifice and service for you as well, Pisces, Taurus. If you're overgiving, then this can be a time when you need to learn how to draw boundaries and to honour those resources and to value yourself enough to say no sometimes. So it's a very different lunar cycle to the ones that we've been experiencing, you know, all of the fire, all of the chaos, all of the transition that's been happening, particularly for you since Taurus and since Uranus entered your sign in mid-May with the Taurus New Moon. You know, there's been so much upheaval for you, so much change. And, you know, now is the time of integration. Now is the time of grounding. Now is the time of productivity. So pulled a card for you, Taurus. Iris, the messenger of the goddess, the messenger of Hera, the great sovereign queen goddess. And she is similar to Chiron in the way that she is a rainbow bridge between the world of spirit and the earthly realm. So again, this for me makes me think of that energy of humanitarianism, of sharing your gifts and talents that I've been talking about. You know, how can you bring the spiritual inspirations that you receive into creative, authentic expression here on Earth, Taurus? And she's also a goddess of harmony. So she, you know, this really feels to me like a really beautiful blessing for you. This card almost seems to say, okay, you know, you've really, really been put through the ringer the past couple of months, my beautiful Taurian friends. And now you get the peace. You get the respite, you get the realignment with your soul, you get the deep connection with Source, with Goddess back. So that's a beautiful, beautiful card, and makes me feel quite emotional for you, Taurus. That card is actually from the Mythic Oracle, which is quite an old card deck of mine, so I don't know whether they're any longer available. But they are by Carissa Millardo and Michelle Lee Phelan, and they are based around the Greek archetypes, which of course closely intertwined with astrology. So if you feel like checking those out, I'm sure that you can find something online. Thank you so much for listening to me, Taurus. If you would like to connect with me further, my Facebook page, I do a lot of writing about the astrological tides. You can find me with the links below, and you can also contact me if you would like a reading. Sending you so much love and blessings for this lunar cycle of integration.